Hi, everyone, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I am a bereavement specialist. And hello, Susan, and welcome, Susan.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you very much. It's great to see you today. I think we missed last week,
We
right?
did. I was away, but today is your
Yeah.
special day, so I want to acknowledge to everyone, happy birthday to Susan. And I
Oh,
hope that you have a wonderful special day and a great year.
oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Lisa. I appreciate that.
That's right.
So today we're talking about something very meaningful. Well, all of these topics are meaningful to Lisa and I, but this one especially. And we're talking about things that you can do to be in the present moment and to celebrate the end of a person's life. We want to start a little bit earlier on when you have a terminal diagnosis, but then we want to head towards those last weeks and that last month of life. And instead of to try and let go of some of the fear and the anxiety and embrace the present moment while you can, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So Lisa, I know that you had a story that you
I
wanted to
do.
share.
I do. So my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He lived 15 months, which is a lot, I guess, for that disease. It was a difficult disease. We spent a lot of time with the word hope, finding new treatments, trying to see what the options were. And I did a lot of research and I spent a lot of time being an advocate. And at first, you just think you can beat this thing and it's going to be fine and all. But as time goes on, you see the decline and you see what happens. And of course, you continue to hope and you continue to say, well, maybe there's something else. And so we ran to different places and tried different things. But at some point, I think that you realize that you need to live for the moment because you really don't know what tomorrow will bring and how much time there is. And so in that regard, towards the end, we decided to go on a trip. I actually suggested it. I said, listen, let's get away from here. I know that it's, you're not feeling great, but let's see if we can at least put you in a different place that, at least has some nice memories to it. We went to Newport, Rhode Island. We always loved looking at those homes, and it was Christmas time. So of course, all the lights were up and it was very pretty, really pretty. And he didn't feel great. And I knew how hard it was, but I also knew that we're making this time and this special time together, and cherishing the moments. And so again, for me, I didn't know how long or what was going to happen, but I also knew that it was really important that we looked today and that we cherish every single moment we have. And so you don't need to know, okay, it's going to be a month left, or you only need a week left, or whatever it is going to be. I think what's important to me is that people understand that tomorrow could be the end. But of course, when you're given the information that you don't have a lot of time or that time is limited, that you look towards what really is important, what you enjoy, what you love, and that you don't put off. Number one, you don't want to regret anything. That's the most important thing. And number two, those precious moments are moments that you can never get back. And so I want people to really focus that even if they decide to do certain things or to celebrate or to, whatever it's going to be, that it isn't that they're giving up hope. What they're doing is they're living in the present and they're emphasizing what's important. And what's important are those moments, those special family things, those friends, whatever it is that's meaningful to that person or to that family. That's what
Right.
and so when I tell people what we do, and this is really poignant, they say to me, oh, well, that's giving up hope. No, it's not giving up hope. What we're trying to do is help people understand that there's nothing wrong with planning and there's nothing wrong with doing certain things that are meaningful to people. It doesn't mean that that's the end, but it does mean that you're emphasizing that life is important and that life today is special. That's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. And what you just said reminds me of the last client that I had. So as an end of life doula, I come into a person's home and the person usually knows, they have that diagnosis. It could be right before, it could be a year before, and anywhere in between. So this particular person didn't call me personally. Her family didn't even call me. It was a group of friends
Wow.
through her business
Wow.
that researched and found me online. Okay, so I went there and I had our initial meeting together. And she had to be one of the most positive spirits I've ever met. And she follows a lot of the same inspirational speakers and leaders that I do. So we had a lot in common. But the one thing that she knew beyond a shadow of a doubt was that she had this beat. And we decided, had it beat, meaning she had went through treatments and all, and the numbers were leveling out. And she really believed in the power of healing yourself. She was following a few healers and so forth. Anyway, I suggested to her, because she looked healthy, she felt healthy, she was on the top of her game, it seemed like. And I said, well, why don't we start with a legacy book, the project that I do? I said, and we'll work on this for your 2 children, because even if you have this licked and nipped in the bud and nothing happens in the next 12 months, wow, what a wonderful project that you're fulfilling for your children as they grow older, and for their children and their children and their children, right?
Yes, that's right.
So we took our time working on this book, and it was a beautiful thing. It was very long. It was the biggest book I've ever done. And through her last treatment, they realized that it wasn't working and she was on the decline. And I think it was a shock for her, because she really believed in her head that she was healing herself, through meditations and so forth. My point is that regardless, people don't want to give up hope.
Sure.
You kept using that word hope. Of course, her family didn't want to believe that the doctor had given her a year diagnosis. Nobody wanted, she really didn't believe it, but by doing a little pre-planning and being mindful and present of the situation that you're in now, can make all the difference in the world. So lo and behold, her diagnosis, her condition went very quickly at that point. Over the last few months, she declined, her organs began shutting down. We finished the book and she passed away. Now when we started the book, you have to think there was all hope, and nobody ever thought that she would pass away. It wasn't comprehensible for them. But we did it anyway, and we started planning and doing present things and mindful things. And I always told her that if the diagnosis doesn't come to fruition, what a gift, right? A treasure for your family.
That's right. That's right.
And it did. So now she left a beautiful gift to her children. But I was thinking that, as you were talking about having the hope, instead of just whether it's denial, but fear, right? And anxiety about the whole situation, and to implementing little things along the way to make every moment even more special. Now, for that person, you also reminded me when you said, tomorrow's not promised, right? Anything can happen tomorrow. So in between when I met her a year ago, and in between the day she passed weeks ago, her husband could have gotten into a car accident and died.
That's right. That's right.
Tomorrow's not promised for any one of us, whether we're healthy or not.
That's right.
So when you do have that diagnosis, it's important to choose some meaningful things along the course, just in case.
Yes.
Right?
And in some ways, I don't want to call it a gift, but I'll just say that having gone through 2 sudden deaths for me, in my family, and not being able to say goodbye, and not being able to do any planning. And believe me, I mean, it's better not to suffer. There's no question about that. Nobody wants to suffer. But to be able to know something, my friend's husband just died of pneumonia, and so sudden for her. So no planning, no anything. And, again, I understand that people don't like this topic. They don't like death. Yeah. They don't like dying. They don't like anything about this topic. But we're trying to explain to people that you need to to cherish the moments. We don't know what's going to be tomorrow. We have no clue what's going to happen in our lives. And so if we could just cherish and do those things that people keep saying, oh, well, we'll do it when we retire. We'll do it when we have more time, or, no. And again, so the terminal diagnosis, it's not that we're saying give up hope. What we're saying is do some planning that really is going to be a cherished thing, no matter what happens. That person could have lived, but still had this amazing book for her children.
Right.
And that's wonderful. Or taking the trip they had said they always wanted to take. Okay. It's really interesting. The Alaska trip that we took 4 years ago. I told my husband I really wanted to go to Alaska, and we were going to go for our 30th anniversary. He was too sick to go. And Stu, my significant other, told his wife just before she died that they were going to go to Alaska. Well, neither of them got to go to Alaska. Okay. And we got to go to Alaska. And there you have it, without our spouses. So it's just really interesting. I just want people, and I understand fear and I understand all that, but you know what? Death is really a part of our lives. That's it. Everybody's going to die, no matter what age, no matter what stage, they're all going to die. And so what do you want to do about that?
Your words are so wise, Lisa. And I love the way that we have that in common, that we think that way. And it's important, really, for everybody to think that way. Yeah. It really is, because we're here for such a short amount of time on this earth. I just pulled up on my phone because I want you to write this down if you can. I'm listening to a book right now, an audio book. It's called 30 Lessons for Living. Okay, it's by Carl with a K, Pillemar. PhD, Pillemer. Okay. He did it's a magnificent book, magnificent. I'm cherishing every word that comes out of his mouth. He did a study, he did a study with seniors, elderly seniors, on their ideas about their life and what was missing and what were their regrets, or what did they wish they didn't do. And he doesn't call them seniors in the book. Throughout the book, he calls them the experts, because they really are. Yeah. And the whole point of this book is for younger people to take heed and to listen to this wise advice, so you don't have to go through these certain things in your life. And a lot of them have to do with what's the point of worrying? Yes. About regrets, don't have any, and they explain why, and everything about what you're talking about. But if it's a really good listen, if you get a chance to listen to that. Nice.
Thanks for sharing that. You remember that book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff? That
Yes.
came out years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And people would read it and say, oh, yeah, that's good. And then go back to the usual thing and do the same thing still. They hadn't learned anything from that. I don't understand,
I wonder, and I read it, I would say in my mid-20s. I think I read it. And honestly, we do change, as we get older. So that book, along with this book that I'm reading, becomes so much more important.
Yeah.
And I was always a nonfiction self-help reader from the beginning. I don't know if I ever read a novel in my life.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I absorb, and that's what I love.
Me too. But you know what I find? Everybody's catching up to me now. Because I had so many early deaths, I had a whole different perspective. And they would look at me and say, oh, Lisa, she's so serious. Oh, Lisa, well, I was enjoying life, but I was cherishing moments. And I was trying to explain to people that life is not promised. My mother was 26, and that was the end of her life. My father's 57, my husband's 56, my mother was 72. I mean, and anytime anything can happen. And so
at any time. My husband was healthy. He didn't expect to get the flu at 52 and die. And that was way before COVID. It had nothing to do with COVID, but he had a whole second half of life to live and was planning on doing things with his boys, who were now growing into adults, and just gone in a second.
Yes.
And I think that whole point makes us be more thankful and grateful for what we do have when you do have losses in your family like that. And it's hard for people to understand who maybe never had a loss.
You know what? At some point, everybody's had a loss. Most people's first loss is a pet. Okay, my bird died,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
was,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
9 or whatever it was. And then grandparents.
And
A
then a
lot of kids
grandparent.
lose their grandparents in their teens. If you're lucky, you have them into your 20s, maybe more. But grandparents are next. And then, you have us other people who, have gone through tragedies that we wouldn't want to hope on anybody. But for our lives, we all know that we need to live fully, and we need to stop putting off things, and we need
I
to
know,
just
and
enjoy.
I'm a big offender of that. But before we go,
Yes. Yes.
oh, you froze for a second, Lisa.
So
Now
did
you're
you.
back, I think.
So cheers. Yeah. Okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
we're getting a storm here today, by the
Oh,
way,
okay.
if anything goes wrong.
Okay.
But let's get back to topic and let's talk about now really the last few months.
Yes.
Okay, everybody's different, of course. Some people can't move out of bed. Some people
Yes.
can't speak at that time.
That's
Other
right.
people absolutely can,
Yes.
and maybe are still walking or still able to do things. And this is what we're talking about today, really about having some meaningful moments and being mindful and being present
Yes.
in their lives now, because they don't want to die with bitterness or angriness or regrets or anger just because they're dying.
Yeah.
So to help them come full circle, a person at the end of the life, you have the power to do that. You do. With all of the decisions that you can make or help them make or suggest to them, or even having the simple gathering, right? With family or friends that they love, and it might not be in their home. Go to someplace they love.
Yes.
And just share and tell stories and help them laugh.
Yes. Yes.
And help them down this path. It is a pathway, it is a journey, it is a bridge, but you have the capability to hold their hand and help them through this time. And even if it's spending a little bit more time than usual,
Sure.
don't they deserve that?
Oh, absolutely.
And you can give it.
You can.
And make a
Just
point.
It's reordering your priorities.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's well said. Right.
My mom was in the hospital for 7.5 months. Tried to get out of that hospital, could not. We did all kinds of things. We decorated her room. She really liked having her hair done. I would have somebody come in and do her hair every week, because that was something that was really important to her. And I got somebody who did imagery so that some of her pain and stuff would be abated. And the kids would come and they, do some games with her, and people would come and, so we try and do, but 7.5 months is a long time to be in the hospital and not improving. And no matter what I seemed to do, she just wouldn't improve. There was one thing after the other.
Yeah.
So again, cherish times, bring in pictures, showing videos.
Bring in photo albums. They
Yes.
do. Older people now do have photo albums.
They do.
Right. And bring in a photo album and just sit with them and let's talk about the different pictures. And where was this? And remember that? And remember when we went there? Remember when we went there? Yes. All of these things are important to help them feel grateful and blessed in their life.
Yes.
That they got to experience all these different things.
Yes, absolutely. By the way, it's not just older people. I have 151 albums.
Oh, sure.
Here in my office, and 8,000 pictures were scanned. So obviously I'm a picture person, and so is my husband, who's a photographer on the side. So we love pictures and we loved our movies, and I still have VCR tapes right here in a cabinet that I have to convert. So no,
I know it's hard. It's hard. It's not easy for us to say this and speak about this today, but it's factual things. It's hard to be open and honest and let the communication flow as it should.
Yes.
Right? Do you agree?
I absolutely agree.
So maybe you'll all be in the room, but nobody ever wants to talk about, you might be gone in a few weeks, or you might be gone. People just, because they don't want to give up hope, and they still want to have the faith. But once that initial communication barrier is hacked into a little bit, and the person knows okay, this is what's happening. This is where we're headed. And they could talk about it and you could talk about it. Well, that's valuable.
Yes.
That's a golden opportunity for you to now have a gathering, and let people tell stories and share, and we're going to miss you so much. And
Yes.
all of that, as hard as that may sound to you listening, is a godsend for the person that's passing.
I'll tell you what's a real crime, okay? My
Yeah.
husband did not know that his father had mesothelioma. He was in high school. He was a senior in high school. His father was sick for 2 years, and his family did not tell him. I think that the older sister knew. I don't know if the younger sister knew. But let me just tell you something. My husband, for his whole life, was angry and resentful about that. He never got to say any goodbyes. He never got to talk to his father about anything. He didn't know anything, and that deprived somebody of the relationship and of the ability to, do last things or whatever it was. But he never forgave them for that, ever.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, myself in particular, families that I know that don't want to tell the children, and they think that it will hurt the children.
Yeah,
Being honest is how the children will heal and understand that death is a part of life.
that's right. That's right. So do those things that are really special and that are meaningful, and make sure that you ask that person, because the person really needs to have that ability to feel like they have some control as well. I really
Oh,
would like
yeah.
to do this. This is something that would mean something to me. That's so important.
You know what I just thought of, Lisa?
What?
This is really special too. So again, as long as the person's still alert, and they're with you, uh, talk to the rest of the people in your family, right? Talk to children, grandchildren, siblings, friends, and ask them all to do one thing for you. Ask them all to write a letter to her. Just to write, or him, sorry,
Yeah.
just to write a letter and just talk about how much you love them, and how wonderful what it's been that you've been in my life for all these years. And remember when we did this, and remember when we did this. And I just wanted to tell you, I love you today,
Nice.
and you can have it sent to your house or their house or whatever. And you can control that, so they're not getting 5 letters a day,
Sure.
and give them 1 letter each day or however many you
Nice.
have.
Nice.
Separate it and just say, wow,
Nice.
I don't know what it's like to have a diagnosis and to feel like, then to know that I'll be passing away. But I will tell you that if I got a few letters like that from people in my life, what a settling, nice, coming full circle feeling that
Yes.
would give me.
Yes.
That, wow, this is okay. I've done okay here. I had some purpose and, people who love me.
Yes. Well, I'm a planner, and I would plan all kinds of things. So I know me. But, I'm going to give you an interesting example without a diagnosis. And that's
Okay.
one of some of the things here. My significant other said to me one day, when I die, I want you to do a roast for me, because he's telling me all the people to invite, and he's telling me that, they're going to have funny stories and that. And I thought, well, that's a shame. You won't hear it. You won't hear any of this. So for his 70th birthday, I made him a roast. And it was great party. I mean, it was a really fun party. And I told everybody, bring your stories, bring your pictures. We had a board and stuff, and people, we had a videographer, and we video and stuff, everything. And it was just so much fun. And that's without a diagnosis. That's without anything at all. But with the understanding that who knows what's going to happen.
Right.
Nobody does.
And now when you look back on that, right, these are things that you look at and say, oh, thank goodness we did that.
That's right. That's right.
That was perfect. Thank goodness we did that.
Yes. Yes. So topic is hope, but it really is about the idea that we can make things meaningful no matter what we have left, no matter what time, no matter what diagnosis, but no matter what anything. It isn't that you've given up hope. It's that you've tried to focus on what's important in life, period.
Right.
You know, So-
And we all have the power of choice,
that's right.
whether you're sick or whether you're not sick. You can be a sick person and really be mean, bitter, angry, and sick. You can be a sick person and be grateful and appreciative and have faith, in the good life that you've lived.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell the
And have
converse.
that different attitude.
Yeah,
But
I'm
the
gonna tell you the
people that are
converse.
here too.
How
Yeah,
many people do we know who should be happy and should be positive and all that and aren't? Okay. And they're wasting their time and they're wasting their lives by being unhappy people.
right.
So yeah, it is about choice, no matter what situation you're in. I mean, look at all the uplifting, inspiring stories of people. It's amazing.
Mhm.
People have been through all kinds of traumas and things that you think I could never, ever go through all that. And yet, I don't know, their strength and their inner something just guides them to live. So what we're saying is no matter what, live and do the things that are important and be with the people who are important and think about the things that are important to you and don't push them aside no matter what happens. Yeah.
That's
And
right.
for you on this birthday, I
Oh.
wish you new chapters in your life
Mhm.
because every birthday is meaningful. It celebrates that person. And it's wonderful to have you in the world and it's wonderful to have you in my life.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I wish for you incredible happiness and new doors that open to you and push you into new and next chapters in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm welcoming it all. I'm here.
Good. 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 All right. So let's talk a little bit about what each of us does in our
Mhm.
spare time. Why don't you
Well,
tell me?
I just wanted to mention that the book project, I mentioned it earlier. What my client and I did, we did over a longer period and we did it a little bit different way. But I do offer a 4-week project and it's about 10 hours worth of audio that I take. And I come home and I weave it into a 12 by 12 hardcover book with text and photos and quotes. And it's a beautiful, beautiful treasure to leave for future generations. As a matter of fact, the last book that I finished was so meaningful for me. She finished the book and she had it in her hands for 2 weeks before she passed. And the stories that they told at the funeral about during those 2 weeks and they had the book up there by her casket for everybody to look at. But the stories that they told were how everybody who walked through their door, whether it was hospice, whether it was an aide, whether it was a friend or the neighbor across the street, she would hold that book and say, "This is the story of my life. Do you want to read my book? I finished my book." She was so proud. She was so proud of this. So I'm very happy she had a chance to do that. But I do work with people that don't have a diagnosis, healthy and vibrant people too. I think my youngest person was 55, actually. Yeah, who put together the story of their life. And it's important to do. It's really important to record some history for future generations, because after all, we're all the ancestor today.
That's right.
Right? You and I in this room are the ancestors. And what a better way to help our own bloodlines and future generations to grow, to learn, to have a sense of connection and roots. And we are their heritage. And for most of us listening today, we don't have that. Our ancestors didn't leave that behind. And how powerful that would be.
Oh, yeah.
So my information's on top. My phone number is there. Call for more information and we'll chat.
Beautiful. And we even have a workshop that's on that website. And that's about what does a dying person want? And I think that's really important for people who are going through this. So we do explain the stages and we explain how people feel and different options and all. So it incorporates some of the things that we talked about today.
Exactly. And Lisa, in your spare time?
Yeah, so in my spare time, I think bereavement is so important and it's such a personal journey. And so even if somebody doesn't want to do something individually, join a group. And I do workshops as well. And so I love reaching out to people and really helping them understand that life goes on. As much, I woke up and said, the day after he died, I said, how come the trees are still green? And how come the sky is still blue? How is that possible? And yet we all know it is. And life does go on and new chapters happen, new chapters open up. So I do that work because I think it's really important to help others go through these stages and help them to go into the next. They call it moving forward, not moving on. You know what? I think either way, you just understand that it's life. It's living
Yeah.
life, no matter what happens in your life. And of
That's
course, you
right.
and I both have books. They're
Mhm.
both on Amazon and all, and mine about pancreatic cancer, and they fund the Lustgarten Foundation. So we do that as well.
Beautiful.
So that's what we do, and that's what we believe in. And we hope that people will share this because this isn't covered anywhere. You can't find this anywhere. The things that we're talking about, all the videos that we've done, they've all been so honest and so open. And we talk to people. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And we share our experiences and we share our professional knowledge. And these are for everyone, hopefully to benefit at any point in their lives.
Right. And really support any person going through an end of life before, during, or after.
Right.
And we welcome guests. We
Yes.
welcome guests that we have conversations with. If you've seen the other videos, you know that we talk to different people from different professions, and all significant to what Lisa and I talk about here. If you have any suggestions or ideas or would like us to cover a particular topic, please let us know. Share and follow our page and send us a message, and we'll be happy to help.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you. And
See you
again,
next
happy
week.
birthday today. Have a
Thank
special
you.
day.
Sure will.
Take good care. Bye, everyone.